Hello there, it's me, Joe List. Now, many of you had said you don't love these intros with this voice. Well, today I have to talk like this because I have a child sleeping right next to me. That's right, he's sleeping next to me. Welcome to the Mindful Metal Jacket podcast. This is how I talk now because I have a baby. Sorry, if you're watching on video, I had to shave all my little stubble off because I had a movie role. So if you hate my face and you think, boy, this man is ugly and should regrow his beard and take his own life, you have Isabel Hagen to blame. She's the writer-director of a film that will be out at some point. It's in production now, so it'll be a while. But I played a role and I had to look like an ugly, stupid queef. Her words, not mine. So I had to shave and reveal my dumb face. Anyways, welcome to the Mindful Metal Jacket podcast. I was going to break out of that voice, and now I'm just kind of half talking about it. Anyways, thanks for listening to the show. I've gotten some wonderful, wonderful emails and messages from people saying, please keep the show going. We love the show. We need the show. It's the best thing. But seriously, people have written really, really nice, kind messages, and I appreciate it. And I hope you continue to do so. And the best thing you can do for the show is keep spreading the word. Tell a friend. Subscribe. Leave a nice review. And just tell people. Yeah, tell people. Spread the word, for God's sakes. Tweet about it. Post about it. Call your friends. Email your friends. That's the best thing for any podcast. So please do that. And there'll be a new episode of Joe and Ron on Talk Movies. For those of you who are fans of that show, we're going to talk about Killers of the Flower Moon. I loved it. He hated it. Look at this. Martin Scorsese, A Journey, right in front of me. How about that? Anyways, this episode I have, speaking of movies, if you saw 4th of July, I hope that you did. If you haven't, go to louisck.com or 4thofjulymovie.com. You can purchase it. You can watch it. It comes with all these extras, full commentary. I believe it'll soon be available to rent on Amazon and all that stuff. I believe we're working on that. Anyways, if you saw the film, you saw a character called Uncle Marky, played by today's guest, the wonderful Chris Walsh, who is one of my favorite people ever. As you'll hear on the show, we've been friends a long time. I can't really remember what we talked about. We recorded this in Los Angeles, California, where Chris lives, a long time ago. But if you saw the film, you know how great Chris is as an actor. He used to be partners in a comedy team with his brother David, who's another brilliant comedian and great friend, called the Walsh Brothers. They got a bunch of stuff online. If you're a big comedy nerd, you probably know about them. They were legends in Boston when I was there, and we left right around the same time, almost, I think, 3 or 4 months apart from each other. Anyways, Chris is doing his thing in L.A. He's a stand-up comic. He's absolutely hilarious. Go see him if you're in L.A., if you're around. And he's also a brilliant sketch and improviser, comedian. And he's just one of the funniest people. But to me, more important than all of that, he's just one of the nicest, kindest souls and dear friend. And I love him so much. And, oh, that's Ron on across the street. I thought it was my child. I thought my child turned into a loud Jewish comedian. Anyways, Chris Walsh, one of my favorite people ever. We had a great conversation about growing up in Charlestown, and Chris is just a really, really smart and emotionally connected person. So I think you're going to enjoy it, and there's a bunch of laughs. Also, Chris is one of the funniest people I've ever met, ever. Top 10 people that I've ever known, funniest. Anyways, that's enough of me blowing my friend. He's awesome, and check out 4th of July. He's incredible in the movie. One of the best performances in there, I think. I would say the best, but it'll get back to one of the other people and they'll get mad at me. So thanks again for being here. I got some live dates coming up. DC Improv in a couple weeks, November 17th and 18th. Get those tickets. Tacoma Comedy Club, January 11th to the 13th. The weekend after that, Poughkeepsie, and then Pittsburgh. Finally coming to Pittsburgh Improv, March 28th through the 30th. And subscribe to the YouTube, leave a nice comment, and tell some friends. All right, enjoy today's podcast with one of my favorite guys, Chris Walsh. Take it away, Crispy. All right, we're here. This is it. Henry and I did a long conversation about how hard it is to start anything.
Yeah,
we're just
that's
like, okay.
True. I think that every single time I get on stage or really do anything,
We're talking. Here we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're here. I'm here with Chris Walsh. Well, at the time of once people hear this, you will have gotten a proper. I should put my phone somewhere.
Oh yeah,
because
that's always nice.
I'm getting
I like those introductions that you do. They always seem like you're under duress. Or like you're under a table, or like you're, you know what I mean? It's like it's very nice. It's pleasant. It brings people into the show very well.
I try to do hello. By the way, there's an ice machine out here, and it sounds like a ghost. And you love ghosts.
Love ghosts.
You're a lover of ghosts and
any kind of mystery. I think I grew up like watching a lot of Scooby-Doo, and I always wanted to go on like a mystery or an adventure.
I have a fond memory. I watched Scooby-Doo with my dad every morning. I had cereal and watched Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And not that he sat and watched it with me.
Right.
Like,
he was just there.
My mother had already gone to work. I mean.
Your dad seems like he would, just based on what I've heard you say about your dad, he almost seemed like he'd be a ghoul on Scooby-Doo. You know, like doesn't talk, is kind of lingering. Yeah,
he's there. And, well, you know, I mean, we both grew up with sort of like Irish, Catholic, Boston dads, right?
That's right.
I mean, your dad seems different than mine, but did your dad, I feel like you guys I think when I think of the Griswolds, I think of you and your family.
There was that, but my dad, you know, he wasn't the Clark. I'd say the Clark was like my mom.
Yeah, your mom was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she was a riot, a laugh riot. She was a real pistol.
Yes, a hot ticket.
Yeah, she was a hot ticket. Yeah, she was a real number. And my dad was more like grizzled old school. I mean, he had a sense of humor, but his sense of humor was, I tend to think of it as, I don't know, I don't never think of my dad as mean. Like he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he would laugh at fat people. Like he had that. Like I remember I wanted to take karate, and he signed me up for these karate classes because it was like, for your white belt, it was like cheap.
Yeah.
You know, after that, it got really expensive. Or it was like Taekwondo.
Right.
And so it was in this little like barn by this train tracks. And then he came to watch all the whatever they are, the tests. So when you get your yellow belt, other people are getting their brown belts and stuff like that. There was a big, heavy set guy, like real, like Fatty McGee. Like that's what he kind of sounded like. He was fighting this like really nimble black guy. And the nimble black guy was like switching stances and doing all the stuff. And the whole time, every time the heavy set guy moved, I mean, he was pretty big. He was going, like Fatty McGee. And my dad started laughing so hard, he had to leave the dojo. Like he had to walk out. And I was embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God. You know, I'm there getting my yellow belt by this Korean grandmaster guy. And my dad was like, everyone just stared at him, watched him walk out.
Well, to be fair, there was less fat people then. Yeah. And so it was more interesting, I guess. Right. But that reminded me of two stories. One, my friend Derek Walsh, who you know.
Yes.
All the most important
probably
people.
Related in some weird far out way.
All my favorite people are Walshes.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
His dad, Steve Walsh, we have the same dad name, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he was videotaping. There was a kid named Richard Fulton in our class, and I think he was Latino of some sort, but he was a big fat kid. He might not even been Latino. He might have just been tan. I don't know. But he was a chubby kid, and he was pitching, and Derek's dad just kept going, we got Fernando Valenzuela on the mound, and he was calling the game as though he was Fernando Valenzuela, which is hilarious. That's probably too old of a reference for people. He was I believe, a Venezuelan pitcher, or maybe he was
great.
I think he was Mexican, actually.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was took over the whole league and culture.
Yeah, he was an amazing pitcher.
But that was hilarious. And also, it's funny you mentioned your dad laughing at the fat kid, because one of the hardest I've ever laughed in my life.
This was like a guy, a grown man.
A man, yeah. Well, I was... we laughed so hard. You, me, your brother, and Ed Regal, and maybe a couple other people drove.
My brother's name is David. For those
David Walsh. Yes. And we drove down to New York from Boston.
Right. Yeah.
And we went to some diner somewhere, and there was a really fat kid, and he was sitting in the booth. He had his elbow on his knee or something like this, and he was eating with he was balancing his face on his elbow.
He was like I think he was kind of like, you know, he's like a kid who would be in a meme today, where he was like lazily, like as lazy as you could, shoveling spaghetti into his mouth or whatever it was. Yeah,
and David just couldn't stop laughing, which was making me laugh, and you were laughing. We were all just dying.
That's contagious.
A fat kid.
Yeah. Which is not nice, by the way. I think that's what we're trying to point out. Like my dad had a weird. It was, I think, in the old school, like what you were talking about with Derek's dad, my dad, there was a little bit of like a meanness, cruelty aspect to this other generation of people. Like, I mean, I was embarrassed. My dad was dying laughing, but it was like, he was like leaving. I'm like, I'm here to get a yellow belt, which is as far as I ever got, by the way.
Sure. Hey, everybody. This episode of Mindful Mental Jacket is brought to you by BetterHelp. You know how much I love BetterHelp. I can't recommend BetterHelp enough. I've sent this site, this discount to several people, a couple of my closest friends. That's no lie. They're using it. They love it. It's simple. It's a simple way to do therapy. It's the best way to do therapy these days. It's, it's very difficult to find a therapist. They're packed. Everything that's going on right now, war in the Middle East, AI, climate change, social media. I'm terrified. I always feel better when I go to the therapist. You got to go. Just do it. Why wouldn't you do it? It's never been easier with BetterHelp. BetterHelp's online therapy is amazing. You can talk to a licensed therapist through video chat, by phone, or even by message. Getting the help you need has never been easier. How easy is that? You can just text a licensed therapist. They shoot you back. They go, hey, relax, pal. They'll say something better than that. I can't recommend it enough. I'm sending people over there. They're loving it. I've had several audience members write. They love it. Fans, whatever it is, saying thanks for getting me hooked up with BetterHelp. Just take a quick quiz to get matched with a licensed therapist. If you ever need to switch therapists, no problem. You can change anytime for no additional charge, no questions asked. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. What you got to do is visit betterhelp.com/metal today. Do it today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/metal. BetterHelp.com/metal. Now do it. Now let's go back to the show. Now, but did your dad give you a lot? Or did you talk? Did he tell stories? Was he engaging?
It's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I had that sort of wall with my dad where I remember one time, like, I love my dad, and my dad passed in 2019, but like, I loved him to death, but it was hard to have a connection.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you have this thing, like my dad, the thing is my dad was supportive. Mm-hmm. He would show up to like my basketball games. He got kicked out of basketball games. Like he would be mad at the ref for making like bum calls.
So that's something. He had passion.
Yeah, he had passion. And he'd be like, come on, and he'd be yelling. And, he worked really hard. He was always out late at night because he was like a union guy. And he was like, I'm thinking about him now because of all these strikes and stuff like that. But he was very passionate and he supported us. He didn't always understand what I was into, but he supported it. I remember, here's another good example. I love horror movies. So when I was a kid, I love like Freddy, Jason. It's kind of weird now when you think about like a 6 to 10-year-old kid being like, I want to meet Freddy. Or, I called like the 900 number and all that stuff.
That's hilarious.
And my dad, when one of the movies came out, we had this thing and we would go camping. He took us in the summer. On the weekends, we'd go to this campground in southern New Hampshire. And they had what's called a Horribles Parade.
Oh, yeah, we did that in Maine.
Did you do that?
Yeah. We have
you dress up and...
Still happens up in Booth Bay Harbor every summer.
Just like your family, or is it the people who were there?
The whole town.
Yeah.
The whole townspeople.
So for those out there who might not know what a Horribles Parade is, it's like Halloween in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
But you hand out gifts for like the best... It's like a costume party.
Right.
But in this case, this was attached to like, they'd have like a games. It'd be all day. It'd be like wheelbarrow races and like egg tosses. You'd do the peanut on the spoon, all that.
Yeah.
Try to avoid the child molester at the campground. But that was like part of the games. And my dad was like, what do you want to be? And then he helped me put together a costume that was Jason Voorhees with like the mask. Mm-hmm. And my dad is like, he's just some blue collar guy.
Yeah.
And then he got me a sleeping bag and made it look like there was like a body in it. I found a picture recently because after my dad passed, I was like going through all these pictures and he's standing next to me and I got from like, I forget what part Friday the 13th it is, but I'm carrying like when he slams the lady against a tree, pulls her out of the tent, and that was my costume.
That's
was like,
amazing.
Yeah, and he was like, sweet. Helped me put it together, and then he's standing there with me. But that was like, if you met my dad, you'd never think he would like condone that or be a part of it.
Right.
Because it's so incongruous to this guy. But he was like, oh, my kid likes it. I'll do it for him.
That's really sweet. Maybe we can send me the photo. We'll plug it in.
Oh, yeah. I'll try and find it later. I'll have to dig and I'll be crying because, looking through photos of my dead dad.
But your family to me, when I met you and I came one day to Bunker Hill, you're from Charlestown, which is
a big deal.
Funny because
you're a shirt.
Yeah, you're from a town that's like famous. You guys had that joke in your act. We're from the town, which is hilarious.
It's the Ben Affleck movie. The Town.
Yeah. So you're from
bank robbers.
and what's his name? Robin Williams, the professor in Good Will Hunting. He taught there at the community college.
Bunker Hill Community College, That's where a brilliant man would teach.
Of course. A lot of plot holes in Good Will Hunting.
I've always wanted to do that too, where it's like, what's wrong? Oh, no, it's not your fault. Then you kind of move. It's not your fault. Fuck you, man.
That pisses me off. And also I got to see about a girl makes no sense. You're like, you could have just got her number. What friends would ever forgive you? It makes no sense to skip out of the World Series because you met a woman, just exchange numbers. But anyways, that's a whole...
Joe takes umbrage with leaving the world. You took me to the World Series.
That's right. We went.
Yeah, it was awesome. Fucking it ended up being the clincher.
The Red Sox won the World Series at Dodger Stadium. We went. And,
he was like, Joe called, I'm like talking to the guys in there, but everyone out there, he called me up. He was like, hey, you want to go to the World Series? And I was just like, and Joe, you're a great friend. Like out of nowhere, I could never afford that. I'm like, I assume you're paying, but I'm like, I can't afford this. You're like, no, I'll take care of it. When are we ever going to get to do it? Come on, let's go. It's like, I was like, yeah, that's Joe. That's you. It's
that was awesome.
Insane.
I just tried to take Mike Whitman to the Eastern Conference Final of the Celtics, and he wouldn't accept.
Yeah.
But
well,
what are you going to do? But I think you had stuff going on. But anyway, your family, meeting you, your family felt like the family I wanted. I'm sure there's other stuff to it, of course. But you have, how many siblings do you have?
Three, and then like kind of a half brother. Like our house was one of those houses where the door was always open. It was never locked.
Right.
Even in a town where, people might, Charlestown was like growing up, everyone kind of knew everybody. And it was part of the city, but it was, it was like that. So people were always staying over. It was always like a bit of a party house. Like my parents would take me away in the summer, and my brother and my brothers and sister would throw parties. But our Zeke, so my sister Steph, Michael, David, and then Jason, Ezekiel, Zeke was like our half brother. So he was always around when I started comedy too.
And then when I met you in your 20s, there was also Cuddy was another guy that was just always around.
Yeah.
And
he was like our Uncle Dale.
Yeah,
He was like my silent buddy who was always there. And
it's so funny because in Boston, and then Tom Dustin, of course, had Mike Terrazano.
Yeah.
So we all just had.
But when you start comedy, everyone's excited by it. They're all like they show up and you're there, and it's kind of a party. But then they don't realize that it's like every fucking night. Like you're going out over and over and over again.
Right.
And then they're like, eventually, people are like, oh, you're just going to the same club again, right. And to be fair, a lot of these guys hung on for a long while, a couple of years. Like we'd always be around, and you'd have these huge crews of people, and everyone would be around. But it was great. Like my parents were awesome growing up. Like I think they were very supportive. I sometimes worry, like we didn't have a lot of discipline. Like I think even like in terms of, homework, all this shit, it was like we didn't really have to answer for anything. It was like we did in a way in terms of like not setting fires or
Right.
I had a streak when I was like in my early teens where I was doing a lot of crazy shit, robbing, like stealing stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I think I was banned for life from like Sears or something.
I worked at Sears. I would have been the one that got you. But
I don't know if that one, dude. This is another one. Well, I'm older than you, so no, I don't know if that would have happened. But unless I was robbing in like 35,
right.
You're like 19, and I'm like running through there. But I was like, and then stealing. I was involved in like one stolen car theft. I had a moment when I was like 14 where I was like, this isn't the way. Like I realized I was going down that path, and I was like, I can't do this. Like I had a moment where I just was like, this is not the right way to go.
I guess everyone has that, but in Charlestown, a town that people call it crime town. There's like nice parts of it, but there's also quite a bit of crime and even some like organized crime around at that point.
It's definitely more gentrified now, but it was worse growing up for sure.
So you can really get caught.
Yeah, I mean, there were kids who ended up in prison, and then there were some kids who, when they got out of prison, they would like stab people to go back for a lot, because they couldn't handle it. Like I knew a couple of kids like that. I mean, not to like glorify the violence or anything. It's awful. David had that story where he went just before we left Boston. My brother David got called for jury duty, and it turned out it was a kid we were growing up with who had committed the stabbing. And it was a homicide trial for this kid that we knew growing up, Kika. And my brother was there, and they kept asking him. Yeah, they kept asking him questions of like, are you qualified, or do you know anyone involved in this trial? And you hold up like the thing, and my brother's arm got tired, like he was in the 3rd grade, trying to go to the bathroom. He was like, he knew my brother Michael was involved on the other side because he had been involved in with the police arresting the guy.
Wow!
Like we knew everyone in the bar when the kid stabbed. Like it was just insane. So it was like there was that element of it. I think growing up there was some of that, but I tended to, for the most part, like we would always kind of stay away from the sort of riffraff if we could, But it's inevitable you'll get into trouble.
Sure. And where did you guys get? I think I know the answer, but like you and your brother are so silly, and you guys. And for those that don't know, the Walsh brothers were a comedy duo, first in Boston, then L.A., and you guys did stand up, but also sketch and characters, and just had the greatest comedy show ever over in Cambridge. When we started.
I miss it. Yeah, it was so much fun.
But so, do you think that comes from your mother? Because you guys are so creative and so silly and so funny.
I think it was, I don't know, it was like, I think part of it, our influences, like growing up, it was like the Muppets and like Monty Python, and you think about those things and you think, and then, there was some precedent for it before us, like Eugene Merman and like Patrick Borelli and all these guys who ended up, like Eugene's on Bob's Burgers now, but back in Boston, he would have these like, Larry Murphy, Brendan Small, they would do sketch shows, and they had like, it was called PS Absurdo at the Comedy Studio. But like, my mother growing up, it was a lot of that stuff was, she was almost like bohemian. We were a really blue collar family, but there's something about the Irish Catholic kind of, comedy where you're always trying to, if you're getting into trouble, you're always trying to have fun and goof around. For me personally, like I realized when I was like, I think I was like 3, when I realized I wanted to do comedy. I didn't know what it was then. Yeah. But I had broken my leg. Like I got into it's a long, crazy story, but I got into a car accident because I basically stole my aunt's car. It's a crazy fucking story.
At 3?
Well, it sounds unbelievable. My sister and my cousin were in the car and they were playing like Spaceship or whatever, and I was following them around. It was on parade day, which is funny because you mentioned parade day, Bunker Hill Day. And they got out of the car, and then I sat in the driver's seat, and I accidentally put the car, I mean, I didn't technically steal the car, but I put the emergency brake down. And this is like the early 80s, so those old cars, like you put the brake down, the car just started rolling down the hill.
Wow.
So I was behind the wheel, but my foot was kind of in the door still, like I tried to get out. And as I went down the hill, there was traffic on Medford Street because it was Bunker Hill Day, and all the cars were trying to get around town. And I ended up smashing into like a telephone truck.
Wow.
And the door closed on my ankle. and the guy from the truck, I mean, I would hope this isn't a lie because it's so fucking, it's so insane, right? It's like, this is how I remember it. The guy took me up to where there was a barbecue at my grandmother's house on Short Street in Charlestown. And he knocked on the door and no one answered. He came into the party and he's like, whose child is this? And I'm screaming and yelling. And
it's like a film.
Yeah, it's fucking
like
crazy.
A climax.
So then, so he takes me into the party, and then my mother and my father, and they had to leave the party to go to Mass General to the emergency room to get my ankle taken care of. And I remember late at night coming back to my house. This is now hours and hours later. It's like, dark out. And I walk in and people are at my house basically worried, like aunts and uncles, people like that, like maybe my other side. I remember being like the Walsh side. That was the power side. And I come into the kitchen, and when I walk in, I'm in a cast. It's like those old fucking crazy casts before they give you the boot and the scooter now. So I walk in and I have this like, whatever fucking plaster cast on, and I realized you could spin around on it. So when I was like walking home, I was like spinning on the cast and stuff. And so I came into the room and everybody's like, how's Chris? And I walked in and I did a Michael Jackson spin.
Wow.
And I went, hee hee. And I did that at I was like 3 years old. And so I turned this tragedy into like a goofy comical moment.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, I was like, oh, you can use comedy to turn, like everyone was concerned, everyone was upset. And right then I just knew, I was like, the rest of my life, I'm not going to take anything seriously. And then like cut to like that fall at school rolling in dog shit to make kids laugh. Like I had my dad, you were asking about my dad. He once said to me, you have no dignity. And I was like, you're right, I don't. Like, you're exactly right. I don't fucking care. I would run around naked. My mother was kind of bohemian. She would let me do that. So it just became like silliness for silliness sake. And then David and I, like, I would always just try and make anyone, like probably like you, just anyone I was around, just laugh in any way I could.
Right.
And so I think David and I had this, like, as we got older, we just cared about comedy so much.
Yeah.
And then when we got into comedy, it wasn't at first, we really wanted to be like straight stand-ups. We were solo. And then eventually it became, my mother was like, bring the bag of, she had like a bag of props and wigs and shit that we would have when we were kids. When we would go camping, we'd wear them.
And did your mother...
Crazy bathing suits and stuff.
Did she act? Does she have an acting background? She feels like she comes from theater.
No, she always wanted to. And then I think she wanted, like I always wanted to. I always wanted to act, but I was scared shitless in Charlestown that if I went and took these like acting classes at the community theater, Tony V's wife for many years was like curating. She worked at the working theater. And I was always, when I was growing up, I was deathly afraid that I would get the shit kicked out of me if I went to the working theater because it was a different time.
And you would have, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Patrick Swayze. He learned how to fight because he wanted to be a dancer.
Right.
And the kids would like kick the shit out of him, so he learned karate.
You could have been Swayze.
Yeah, I could have been, but I'm not.
So you guys
Could
just
be dead.
had props and wigs, because this is the kind of parent I want to be. We're just dressing up and being silly.
Well, that's, I mean, you will be. I mean, I think when you told me you were having a kid, I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, immediately when I started talking to my girlfriend Sabina, I was like, Joe's going to be the best dad ever.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the right reaction when you tell someone you want to have a kid. You don't know the reaction you want until somebody gives it to you.
Yeah.
That's the one.
No, it's true. I mean, I think, but you're a great dad for other people's kids. Like when you mentioned Bunker Hill Day, my mother still talks to me about, when Joe came over and he's leading the kids and he's turning them into a little army or whatever, like, like marching them around. And
game, I think.
You'll get like, it's immediately a wiffle ball game, or like if there's a pool, you're in the, you know what I mean? It's like, there's I think there's no getting to know Joe. It's just like full speed ahead into fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try to keep it fun, especially with kids. Kids are the best audience. They're so fun.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, this episode of Mindful Metal Jacket is brought to you by Standup Cinema. Man, am I excited about this. World premiere of a new film I'm starring in, along with Tommy Pope. Who doesn't love Tommy Pope? My God, he's hot. Written and directed by my pal, Sam Rubinoff, and photographed by my friend Lex Adams, who's in the room right now shooting this, goddammit. It is called Civic Duty. I'm looking at this to make sure I get everything, but I know what the hell's going on here. Civic Duty, great night of films. 2023 New York Comedy Festival presents Standup Cinema short films by comics. You're probably thinking one of these movies is probably written and directed by Joe List. No, I didn't get the invite, but my wife did. Sarah Talamash, Graham Kay is out there, Rel Battle. I love those guys and women. And of course, it's going to include the premiere of Civic Duty, starring me and Tommy Pope. This movie, I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to see it, but I was there. We ruined about 350 takes, dying laughing. It's hilarious. My God, I can't wait to see it. Brilliant script. I really mean that. And you can get your tickets. One night event. It's happening November 9th. The way you can do it is go to standupcinema.eventbrite.com. That's standupcinema.eventbrite.com. And I can't wait. I will be there with bells on. Sarah won't, because I'll have a child. Oh my God. We're going to be there. She's not going to be there. I'm going to be there. Her movie will be there. Sam Rubinoff will be there. Tommy Pope will be there. I think. I don't know. Maybe he won't be. Anyways, you should be there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the movies. Sarah and I always talk about it. It's just kids are better to go be with than adults half the time.
Yeah.
I have so many less uncomfortable, awkward moments with children than I do adults.
I mean, I talk about it a little bit. I'm trying to get back into stand-up now, but it's like when I'm at a party, I'm playing hide and go seek with the kids. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck
same.
these people. Like, I'd rather be like kids screaming, or like the fact when I'm in a room and I can still hide and I'm 6'2" and they can't find me, I'm like psyched.
Yeah.
I'm like, still got it.
Right. No, I remember we went bowling one time with you, me, and Nate Bargatze, which is crazy to think about. Who's a superstar.
Yeah, I know.
And there was
it's crazy.
In the alley next to us, there was a kid with Down syndrome, and like within 30 seconds, you were like buddies with the guy.
Yeah,
you were like nice. And he was like pointing back and forth. I was like, he was just your buddy immediately.
Well, I mean, like that would be like if I had to have a day job. That's my ideal day job. I think it's just not always easy work to get into.
Right.
Because when I've worked, like I worked with, I mean, I don't know what the acceptable term of art is these days. You know, it used to be special needs, but it's like, it's like whatever. I was a van driver in Boston at this place in Charlestown, the Life Focus Center. And when I would show up every day, it was like, fucking 7 a.m. I was a van driver. I'd pick them all up. And then when we got into the space, the actual Life Focus Center, it was like they would go off and like work dog walking or do whatever. You know, some of them had jobs, some of them were just sort of there to play like board games and stuff. But when I would walk in, every single person would be like, Chris. And they'd come from all over, and it would be like a group hug of like, it felt like 30 people just like, hey, I love you. You know, and I was like, this is the fucking best job ever, because there was just pure love and like just emotion. You know what I mean? And most people, they hide it. You know, like most of us, like, you know, I think about my family. It's like, I still say I love you to my mother, and she giggles. You know what I mean? Because for years we didn't say it, because you lose that connection. I was telling you this because we were talking about this. You had asked me, you said you wanted to say that to people in your family. I mean, I hope I'm not. No. I mean, I think that's what the show's about, but it's scary to say it when you haven't said it in so long, and only people who are, maybe everyone feels this way. I don't know, but I feel like people specifically from Boston, just because that's my experience.
Right.
They're terrified to say, I love you, I care about you. And that's hard to do.
Yes.
You know? But when you're working a job like that, everybody's like, I love you, you're the best.
Yeah.
You're great. There's no artifice.
I had to go through therapy before I was like, I love you guys. But I think we have all those, they're all stress. It's like, I think, well, in general, I think people from a certain time, especially like our parents were probably, maybe you were born in the 40s or 50s.
Well, I was thinking about this recently because of World War II. My grandfather fought in World War II. He's a POW. So there's all this, you know, I guess people call it now trauma. They never called it back then, but it was like all these people, we're like a generation removed from these kids of World War II.
Right.
Right. I don't know if the same is for your parents. Your parents are probably younger than my parents.
My parents were born in 57 and 59, but their parents, I think a lot of it too is just Irish Catholicism, Boston, just all very whatever. I was just watching Comedians in Cars with Kathleen Madigan, and she was joking about her dad, and it just sounded exactly like my family. Yeah. Where she's like, there's no hugging. He shakes hands and says, okay, take care. And one time she went to Afghanistan or whatever, and she's like, he knew it was a big deal because he hit me on the shoulder and was like, careful, or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I had to initiate hugging with my parents as an adult after going to therapy, being like, I'd like to hug and say I love you. I mean, you made a movie about it. Feels like, it still feels like, okay, so I'm going to say I love you now. Yeah, it just feels like wouldn't or whatever, but it's like, it's interesting because it's almost like people are now okay with like, we should talk about our feelings but they'll never actually get to that. Right. Like when my dad passed, I remember like everyone was fucking angry, and that was all part of it. And I kept saying, I was like, I was trying to broker deals between like family members. Well, you should talk. You know, it'd be better if you talked about it. Like, and I would say to like my mom or my sister or my brother, and I don't, you know, and I think everyone knows universally that it's hard to deal with death, but it's funny because no one ever wants to deal with it until you actually have to deal with it. Right. And I would say to everybody, I'd be like, the best thing I ever did in my life was to go to grief therapy. And I only went once, but I was like, but that was really good. And I'd say to my mom, I'd be like, you know, it's free and just try it. And people all like that generation feels like they're admitting that they are like, there's something, they're cooked. Right. You know, like they're smoking cheese doodles. You know what I mean? They're like, they're basically like, I can't do that. You know, I can't do that. What would my friends think? That's almost the like behind it, you know? And you're like, no, it's a new world. Well, I've had that with sobriety recovery. Yeah. I mean, so many people I've tried to help, and they go, nah, I don't do that. Yeah. Or they go, it's not for me. They go, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm like, well, you should really, maybe if you go to a meeting or something, what happens? They're like, what happens at AA? And I'm like, well, you go there and you kind of talk with like-minded people, and you realize, you know, why did I drink? The drinking is a symptom. That's not actually the problem. The problem is something else. And so you go and they're like, nah, I'm not interested in any of that. You know, but also it's you know, it really is when you start to think about it in those terms. I understand where it's like so much easier to just fucking keep drinking for them. Right. You know, because you're like, oh, that's a step. Yeah. You're saying there's more, you know what I mean? And then once they start to think about like, oh, you're going to uncover a lot of shit, it's like, oh, I don't know. Because, you know, I also think that there's some shit that went down in that generation that we maybe never had to deal with. Like we had to deal with the fact that we have a hard time hugging or like talking about our emotions. But there's some fucking, my mom came from a family of 10, right? You know, and they were awful to each other. I mean, it was like Vietnam in the household, right? You know, it was like there are whole factions of her family that don't talk. Yeah, you know? I talked about this a lot on the show and whenever I can, but like I think sibling relationship is underratedly traumatic and difficult.
Yeah.
But sometimes in some ways more than a parent, because a parent at least is somewhat trying, for the most part, if you're lucky, is somewhat trying to be not mean and helpful.
Right.
But a lot of siblings are just like, I resent this person, I'm going to try to fuck them up.
Right.
So having 10 siblings, you have 9 people that are all fucking with you to some degree, or that you're just naturally jealous of, or whatever it is, or you think, hey, they're treating that person different. I didn't get treated that way. So you have all of that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's in her case, it's like, and even my father's, it's so weird to think like my father's family, my dad didn't talk to any of them. Like when he passed, they were all separate.
Right.
I think like, I want to say like one of them that were like still alive came to the funeral, I think. You know what I mean? And it was like, it's kind of crazy to be like, yeah, there were several others that didn't even show up. And then my mother was also like upset. She didn't want her siblings to be there at the, you know what I mean? She was almost mad to think they were going to maybe show up. You know what I mean?
My dad's estranged from both his siblings.
So it's like interesting to think they're all, and I think it's, it's interesting from my family. Like certainly I worked many years with my brother. I love him to death. I miss him. But it's like, I understand what you're saying. Like it wasn't, looking back, it wasn't easy. And people always...
I'm just doing a Griswold bit over here.
Comedy bit.
Sorry.
But it's like, people would always say to me, like when we were together, they would be like, oh, you're working with your brother. That's great. I could never do that. And I'd be like, oh yeah, like that's fine. But then in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense to me. It's hard to really make it. You've lived together your whole life. We were on the road. Then we lived together in our 30s. You know what I mean? Like we're in a small apartment.
Yeah.
It's like I must have drove him out of his fucking mind. He wanted to like get married. He eventually did and had kids and all that stuff. But it's like, I can't imagine what it, like it's, we always tend to look at things from our side of things. But I'd imagine on his side, I was probably a huge pain in the ass,
I can't even imagine having a brother. It's like hard for me to like picture like a male sidekick of like, wait, what? It's just a mind fuck to me.
Well, I mean, going back to all that shit where I was talking about like stealing cars, and like David was, I used to say when I was a lot younger, like he was the only thing that really, I feel like kept me off drugs and out of prison. And some of that came with like the like he would say to me when I was a kid, and he would tease me, but he's like, you're gonna end up being a pothead, and to me that was like the worst. That was almost like a, you're gonna smoke weed, and I'd be like, no, it's almost like a like a Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints commercial or something. The guy with the flashlight.
To be fair, real pothead people that are like, pot man, they have a hat, that is the worst fate you can have in my opinion.
It's pretty bad. I mean, no offense. I don't know if anyone in here likes the pot. Out here, it's a very pot
but I don't mean
friendly place. No, but I'm with
not
you.
Anti-smoke pot. I mean the people that are
420.
Like, we're getting ripped, bro.
Yeah.
420.
311.
Like, grow up, you fucking dork. Yeah. We all smoke pot. Everyone smokes pot.
Yeah. I know. I have to agree with you, Joe. It's anyone who is like... But I feel that way now in general and I kind of did even when I was drinking, the idea of like waking up the next day and being like, I'm so fucked up, bro, or I was so fucked up. Like people, wine moms, like, I don't know, I'm coming for you. But it's really funny to me because there is a thing now where people are like, oh, I'm doing this show, or it's about wine. And it's like, all that shit is just, the kids say cringe now, but that to me is like, examine yourself. If like drugs and I'm not straight edge, I'm California sober. So I'm not like, I'm not like this guy over here who doesn't do anything fun. I'm kidding, Joe.
A teetotaler.
A teetotaler. But like, I think that shit is like, I think you really need to take a good hard look at yourself. If it's like, tequila bar. I was thinking about that because we were talking about people who get fucked up. Like that's all, to me, that's like what you say, the AA. It's like, there's a reason for that. Right. Like you're masking some it's not just fun. Right. Especially if you're over, I'd say I'll give you till 35. Yes. Like 35 is to me, that's when I felt like I really started to grow up. I was a fucking moron before then. I stopped drinking before then, but I was like, there was 35 where I was like, I don't think, especially out here, I was like, I don't think any of these people are really my friends. Right. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
35 is when I went to therapy. So similar. I was like, I got to figure something out here.
And people like, they'll say like, oh, you're not an adult till you're 21, or you're not, now they say it's like later on because you're not fully developed, your brain, especially for men. And I look back, I'm like, yeah, I can pinpoint 35
Right.
was when I started to decidedly get my shit together.
Right.
And my shit's not even really together. Like it's barely together.
I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I'm getting by, but it's like, it's interesting. This is like a therapy where you talk about therapy and all that stuff. Cause I just got healthcare July 1st and I'm going to get a therapist for the first time in my life.
It's the best. You've never gone to therapy?
Only grief therapy one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's surprising.
No, I just talk incessantly at my girlfriend before bed. That's I'm just like, what am I doing? What's going on? This person hates me.
Oh man, I love
myself.
therapy.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went as a boy, as a kid, because my parents. I was like so introverted.
Wow.
My parents were like, something's off with our child, because I just sat. I didn't want to play with anybody or talk or leave
That's
the
hard
house.
to believe.
I know, it's weird. And then I went.
Was that before or after they took your go-kart away?
That was probably right around the same time.
I see.
It might have been right in there. And then I went again in my 20s. I was having panic attacks every day. But I went like 3 times.
I remember.
Yeah. I just went like a couple times. And then it wasn't until 2017 when they came back again.
So
you
Mike,
realize, oh, there's like fucked up shit in me.
I got a question for you, because I think about this. You know, you're obviously doing very well. You know, like it's like you've worked very hard. You've always been very funny and talented. But I feel like when, you know, probably around the time we used to talk when you were like stopping drinking, all this stuff. But do you feel like as you've found more success, is there more anxiety that comes with that, or you just deal with it better these days?
I think I just deal with it better. I mean, I'm having some now because it's like I'm having a child, which is scary. And the more that's what my therapist always talks about. The more you have to lose. Like that's what so much fear and anxiety is. It's like, oh, what if I lose my house or my life or my parents? And so the more you have going for you, the more you're like, my wife, my kid, whatever, the money or work.
Yeah.
But I just put so much work into it, but I'm still a fucking lunatic. I'm having anxiety right now. We just did this is the 3rd podcast in a row. I got to get to the Improv. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow.
Are you're able to ride the snake or whatever?
Yeah,
like
I guess so.
You use it?
You just kind of go like, okay, that's there. That is here right now.
But do you just have more coping mechanisms to deal with it? Or how do you, I mean...
Yeah,
does masturbation work? Like,
not so much.
Yeah,
it's a lot of coping. I'm always reading either Thich Nhat Hanh or I'm reading Mindful Cognitive Behavioral Therapy right now, which is a great book by Paul Gilligan. His name is Gillihan. Yeah. And I always listen. I listen to like Tara Brach's podcasts. I use the Waking Up app. I go to AA meetings. I exercise.
So it's like constant.
All day. Yeah. It's a constant fucking effort and meditate every day.
Right.
And still I'm like stressed, but I have to remind myself of like how fucked up I would be if I wasn't doing those things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess similar to not drinking.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I wake up oftentimes and I'm like, and I'm not in the program necessarily. Like I had been trying for many years on my own and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I'll wake up and I'll be like, I'm so happy that I didn't drink last night.
Yeah.
Like just that hung over the fact that I was able to get to sleep at a relatively decent time, or even if I didn't get to sleep at a relatively decent time because I was like, at the store or somewhere late, when I got home, I was able to put my head down on the pillow and fall asleep within like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because when I was drinking, that wasn't always easy. I don't know if it was the sugar in the beer or what it was. I would toss and turn forever.
Yeah, partly it's chemical, but also there's that thing of like, what the fuck did I say to everybody?
Yeah.
I said that thing to this person, this person. Who did I fuck?
I cried, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's so much of that shit.
I got pulled over by the state police. That was the last drink I ever had. I got pulled over by the state police. And it's kind of interesting to look back and be like, I don't know if this is like an AA thing, but to be like, that was the last story. The last time I ever had a beer, I got pulled over by the Massachusetts State Police on 93.
Right.
And it's like, that's kind of fun. Like I'm done. You know what I mean? Like that's the height of my drinking of like, I got the statey's got me, guy.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
That's a sign from God.
No, that's a good bot. I mean, some people are like, I rolled my car and fucking shattered my legs and killed 3 kids. So,
oh no,
just a nice pullover.
All right, well, I'll add that in.
I'm just throwing it in there. Yeah. And I was 3.
The statey's they couldn't pin me down. But those kids are dead.
But it's definitely a lot of effort, and also just recognizing because before, it's like I didn't even realize what anxiety was. I was just like, oh man, I'm shaking violently. Yeah. My heart is racing all the time. My head hurts. My back hurts. My fucking my tits hurt. Whatever. Or you're like, I just drank 75 fucking Captain and Cokes at a softball game.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh man, I must really have a lot of fear and anxiety or anger. But I'm also learning now that repressed anger and anger presents the same way as anxiety.
Yeah.
So I actually think a lot of the times I've felt anxiety, I actually was feeling fucking furious anger, which I feel like you deal with.
Yeah,
too.
it's rage. I mean, that's rage is the word, and that's, to me, that kind of puts your finger on it even more so, because it's and I still feel like, even though I hadn't had a drink in like, 9 or 10 years, I don't know the exact date necessarily. I could pin it down if I had to. I just look at the obituaries of those 3 kids, but all that shit is like, I still feel like even though I'm in California, which I think is a place where it's kind of nurturing of mental health, or at least people talk about it more.
Yeah.
It's taken me so long, like, and I've been better lately, but there is a measure of like, of still going, what the fuck, the fucking, I call it the Marin, where you're like, you go from 0 to 60.
Yeah, no, Sarah will say that. I'll notice that sometimes too. And again, with like mindfulness or something like that, I'm like, why did I just lose my shit? Or like something will come up, or sometimes they're like with, family or something. Someone will be like, oh, what's your family like? And then you start talking, and then like, I'm like, yeah, and it's fucking nuts because they do this fucking, and people are like, are you all right? And you're like, oh, I guess I'm carrying
That's such a Boston thing. Fucking can be said in a way that it's like you get cut. Or you get punched in the gut. Like my mother will say it, and I'm on the phone with her, and I'm immediately like, oof.
Right.
Like it's fucking, I'm not even doing a good job of it, but it's like this harsh word it's like there's so much poison in it.
Yeah.
And it makes me hurt. But it's like we have that in us where we're able to like do that. There's been once or twice, even recently, and this is like crazy, and I've been like this for a long time. My brother used to give me shit for it, and I don't think he's wrong, but like somebody will turn and want to like fight. And it's like, and I think of you because you're always like these kooks or whoever. Right. And it happened to me a few weeks ago, actually. And I think I texted you, a guy on the street he started calling me F-bombs, right? He was just like, you fucking faggot. And he's like getting in my face. And I tried to turn, like I wheeled and tried to get away. And then he got right behind me. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. So I wheeled on him. And then he and I were like face to face. And I had a minute where I was like, I listened, I heard him out, and he was kind of going like, why are you sneaking into people's bedrooms? And he's like saying all that shit to me.
Wow.
And I just looked him in the eye, and I went, and I basically was like, what are you going to do? Like do it, and that is not at all good. But, no, it's not, but there's been a few times out here where I've almost gotten into fights where something clicked in me, where I tried to get away, but then I turned and I was like, I fucking hope this guy tries to fight me. And I was like, I would love to. I told one guy, I was like, go ahead. I was like, I want to. And then later I was like, that is not good. Like that is nothing good can come from that. Yeah. And it's like, but there are moments where that happens, and I'm just like ready. And I'm like, I'm in my like, now I guess I'm classified in my late 40s.
Whoa.
My hand would probably shatter if I punched somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's no way that I'm like gonna come out of that scenario not dinged up in some way or another, mentally, physically, or otherwise. But in that moment, I'm like, this is, I kind of, and I think it's back to that rage thing where it's almost like you want to see what's gonna happen because I have so much fucking residual bullshit in my system that I've been trying to get out of.
No, I've had that, and I think a lot of times it's like you have things you want to say to family members or whatever, but it's too hard or too difficult or too awkward. And then what happens is you go to fucking Subway, and then they're out of footlongs or whatever, and you're like, you motherfuckers, you fucking suck. And you're like, oh shit, sorry, that was about my uncle. I don't know, that was my dad's fault or something.
My uncle's name is Pepperoncini, and you're out of pepperoncinis, and I wanted to eat them.
Yeah, it's hard, and that's something I'm working on, is trying to, and I've had this a couple times with people that I work with or whatever, where it's like you don't say anything over and over and over again, and then something explodes over like the smallest thing. Yeah. Like they fucking, they left the fucking light on, and you're like, you fucking whore. And you're like, sorry, that was about a thing you said in 1988. I'd never call my wife a whore. That was, I just thought that would be a funny thing. My wife and I get along great.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's like I'm trying to work on in the moment being like, hey, I didn't really like that. Instead of just letting it build and build and build. But sometimes I find it's hard, especially with like family or whatever, where somebody will say something that offends you, and you're so thrown off that you can't even recognize it in the moment. It's not till later. And my therapist would be like, "Why didn't you say something?" And I'm like, I didn't realize it until like 2 days later that I was like, "Hey, you totally dismissed what I was saying."
Right.
Because in the moment you're like, "This is weird."
Right.
But
I mean, I still have that with some of my family members where it's like, I'm almost like, you go back to those old behaviors, you know, where I'm like just sort of blank. And I'm just sort of taking it on the chin, and you're just like, I don't know. You know, and I think part of it might be that I live 3,000 miles away. Like, you see your family a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know, there's probably also something to space, to giving things space. Like, if you talk to somebody on the phone, you can talk to them on the phone a little less and be like, all right, I still love you. I still care about you. I'm still going to visit when I can. It's just harder for me out here to get into that sort of space where it's like, I can only fly back once or twice a year. I can only talk so much. So it's like, so the space of it has allowed me the sort of introspection of like looking at it and kind of going, all right, this is how I'm feeling. And then I hang up the phone and I'll just think about how I handled something or how I can handle it better, or prepare for it before I call, or, you know.
It also creates more emotional distance too when you move away or pursue a career that's no one else is sort of pursuing. So it does make you feel like you're with all these different people and different kinds of people, and you see different ways of people doing things. Whereas maybe this group, they just kind of stay in one small section with each other. Yeah. So you get all this, and they look at it too of like, well, you're out there doing that. You live in this kind of place. You know those kinds of people. Right. And we're with these kinds of, so it just feels like that it creates distance that may not even actually be there. Right. But it just, it feels that way in both.
On the other hand, I also miss everybody, and that's really hard. Like, especially all my nieces and nephews, they're like now grown up. They're like older than I am. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
And you'll have another kid to miss now. Yeah. When you have our kid.
I thought that as soon as, that's what I thought about for like a week. I was like, Joe's going to have a kid. I'll see the kid. Next time I see him, he'll be 18 years old. And
well, that's why I go to Seattle so much to see Derek's kids, because it's like, they'll forget you. Like, so much time passes. The first time I would go see my friend Derek's kid, they're like, a quarter of their life has passed. It's like a year passed, and now they went from 3 to 4. Right. And they're like, oh, I don't know you. And I was like, I can't have this.
Well, I wonder how much too, it's almost a benefit that you're actually a presence online. Kids are on their phones. Like, they're probably watching your videos. I don't know if they're allowed to.
Yeah, they're still only
too young.
11 and 7. So they're not
gotta come up with a clean.
They're not watching Tuesdays.
You got to do the Nate Bargatze. Do a clean album.
I think they've watched. I dedicated a special to them. I think they show them the end, but it's all dick jokes and stuff. It's all shits and farts. but it's like you got to go be there, and that's why Dennis Eckersley, weird turn, but he the color commentator for the Red Sox, and
I love that.
One of my heroes, another sober guy. He just retired because his grandkids live in San Francisco, the Bay Area. And he's like, they don't even know who he's like, I try to visit them. And I'm like, he's like, I used to throw gas. I'm in the Hall of Fame. They're like, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, I can't just see these grandkids fucking 3 times a year.
He's got to become like a world champion Minecraft player.
Right. He's got to do something else. Yeah. But that just reminded me of this other weird stat. You ever heard this? Or maybe we talked about it the other day, I think. We literally just had this dialogue. But by the time you're 18, you've spent 95% of the time you're going to spend with your parents.
Wow.
Is done. Was that you and I?
Not me. No, that's not me. Because I stayed. I would have stayed there forever. But I loved staying. I loved living at home.
But like, your dad is gone now. Mm-hmm. But like, in the grand scheme of life, it's like 99 point something % of the time you'll spend with your mom is gone. This is the best. I'm talking about our mother's inevitable demise.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I probably spent, and you too. I mean, you're somebody who, you spend a lot of time with your family anyway. Like I've always admired that about you. Like no matter how much success you have, you're always like going back. You just spent a week with them in Maine. Yeah. You know, it's like you go back, you got, you're visiting, you're doing, like you'll go, I mean, not that you wouldn't, but Laugh Boston, and you'll do all these things in Boston where you go back, or you'll do the Wilbur now or whatever it is. Yeah. But like, and it's always like this every year. I mean, you look forward to that, and I know that that's a big part of your life no matter what your relationship is with your family, you're always trying to reconnect.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess you're lucky in that way because of the success that you're able to go back and like visit and see everybody. Not only that, but friends and everybody. But for me, it was like, I didn't leave Boston. I mean, I didn't leave Charlestown till I was, you know, in my 30s.
Right.
You know, so like most people, I don't know what most people do. I was like Mike Seaver living above the garage, you know, I was like growing pains or whatever it was. But that's the right one, right? Right.
Yeah.
And my mom, like, I was like, I'll fucking stay here forever. They didn't charge me rent. They loved having David and I both there, and we were doing comedy shows. It was funny because I think I was arguably more successful in Boston living at home with my parents than like most people get to be in like anywhere.
Yeah, you were
know?
local celebrities.
Yeah, and it was fucking crazy because I'd go home and go to sleep in my childhood bed.
Right.
You know, and it was like, I considered it to be,
there.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny to think about. Yeah, I never really considered that you were like 28 years old and I was just like in your bedroom.
I'd be like, Joe, you want to crash? Or, you know what I mean? And that was like, I didn't fucking care. It was like fun. I considered it like almost like the Italian nuclear family where in Italy, everyone is, you know, mangia, you're around the table or whatever. It's like a Sunday, you have friends over. Like to me, it was like a social thing. There were still people I knew who lived in my town. It wasn't too gentrified. We could walk to Faneuil Hall. We'd have a gig at fucking Monday nights or whatever. We would walk to shows or we would get on the train. You know, it was like, it was the best.
Well, that community thing too, that's what I always talk about. This I took from my family as much as they frustrate me. And a lot of my anxiety comes from that and the drinking, everything. And they can be sort of emotionally distant in ways. Like maybe they don't say, we loved the show and we're really proud of you. I don't really get that much, but they come to the show. But the one thing that my family does is we were always together. Yeah. And always, my family's love language is doing something for each other. Like, hey, we knew you were coming home, so we got DiGiorno pizzas because that's what you love. Right. Or we got
like a Carvel cake.
Like Matt Lever, our buddy, would come. My mom's like, I got to get a 30 rack of Busch Light because that's what he
also
drinks.
Like fix your roof.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, but my family was always together. And I talk about this all the time. Like, I always laugh when people have family reunions. I'm like, that's hilarious. My family's together all the time. And like every Sunday, it wasn't like, hey, are we going to Graham and Gramps? It was just Sunday you got up and you went there. Well, in your
case, it was also half of fucking Boston comedy. I mean, it kind of was like that at my house too, where you guys would all be there. Or you'd have an open invite. Come by whenever you want, or we would walk to my house, or you would park there and we go to Faneuil Hall or something. You know, and so that was definitely, I mean, that is part of I'd say the trouble with living out here is people don't really hang out and you don't really know who. It's a different aspect, right? You know, and there was something you just said that it made me think of. I think I lost it.
Family reunion, being together, but that sense of community I've carried, and like getting my apartment now in New York. I'm like, everyone come over every Sunday. I have
You've
7
always
comics
done that. I mean,
over.
that's one thing that I've always admired, and I feel like what's great about knowing you is when I know somebody that knows you, it's like I feel like friend of Joe, friend of me, right? You know? Right. Friend of foe, friend of Joe. And but I was like, you know, there's been people that I'll run into and I'll go, hey, I know you. Soder is a good example. Yeah. You know, I think years ago before he was, you know, Big Dan Soder.
Big Dan Soder. Sounds like a fucking offensive lineman.
But for I mean, I guess he'd play for Denver. But like I met him at the Denver Comedy Festival. I think that was like one of the first times I ran into him, and it was one of those things. It was almost like the Spider-Man meme. It's like we saw each other and we both knew that we were friends of you. Right. You tell stories, you'll be like, Soder's blah, 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 blah. And then I saw him and, you know, and this isn't a name drop because I don't think he was famous then. This is pre-famous Dan Soder, but it was like one of those things where you're like, holy shit, we're buddies. Let's hang out because we know that it was the connection is you're like our Kevin Bacon. You know, it's like if you know Joe, then you know that it's a good group because you bring people together anyways. Right. You know?
Because you've never been fucked in the ass. My favorite Kevin Bacon line, JFK. You're a good-looking man, Mr. Garrison. Perfect role for him. But yeah, no, Soder was always fascinated with
mine is some kind of worm. I don't know. That's a.
Is that Murder in the First?
Tremors? No, I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't
Fuck
think
the show. Let's just do Kevin Bacon impressions. Favorite Kevin Bacon roles. No, Soder was always obsessed with Boston comedy and comedy in general, but he always just loved that scene.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely were spoiled. And I think like you tried to keep that together too, even though I think you were in New York when we moved. I remember I still have a photo. I mean, I should have it up, but it's, you got everyone to grow mustaches.
Yeah, because you guys were coming
when
back.
we came back for Christmas that first year, and then we got a huge picture of like everybody with mustaches that you had everyone grow.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those things where somebody does the nicest thing ever for you, but outside of like sucking their dick, which I've tried to suck Joe's dick a few times, he won't let me. He jokes about it. But it was like one of those things where you're like, this is incredibly nice, and I don't know how to convey that to you without being. I was like, this is amazing, but it's you don't know how to show the right level of gratitude,
right?
Because people committed to at least a couple of weeks of shitty facial hair.
Yeah, it was fun
to be like, this is you guys, this is for you, this is important, and that's how Boston was. It was very supportive. I don't know if it's like that now. I'm sure
I'm
it's
so removed from it,
but it's I know, and it sucks. But for many years, it was very like. We had almost like an extended family.
Yeah,
where
that's how it feels.
And then I moved to LA, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll see you later. Well, like no one hangs out. I have a joke just between like my girlfriend and I, Sabina and I, but it's I feel like my LA friends would be enemies anywhere else.
That's funny.
It's like if you lived anywhere else, the people you were friends with in LA would be like the worst people to you.
But yeah, that comes from, I think, how we grew up, and I think we grew up somewhat similarly. It's like that thing of like, you get everybody together. Everyone should be hanging out. Let's get together. We have a limited time.
We'll have a do.
Yeah. Let's be together and we'll tell stories.
Used to call it a time.
Yeah.
Well, you have a time.
Yeah.
But that was at like a hall, like a function hall.
No, it's the best, and I still love it. And I'm excited. Like they just asked me to do the belly room. I'm like, well, let me just text everyone I know. Everyone will
psyched.
Come.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
Everyone will come and hang, and we'll try to do it.
But
here.
I mean, I should say also, it's at this point, it's not even about the comedy. It's about the hang. When I see you, and maybe that's a problem.
Right.
But it's like, because you're a success. But I also, having lived out here for so long, like when you're in town, I'm like, I get to hang with Joe. It's not about the comedy. It's not about anything else. Like I like seeing you perform. We went to the Improv, and so I like seeing your progression as an artist. And I'm like so like proud to like go to these clubs and see you like fill at the Improv on a fucking Wednesday or whatever. But it's like one of us. It's like one of those.
Yeah.
I feel almost like sometimes like because I had a moderate amount of success, like leaving Boston. My brother and I did very well.
Yeah.
Show at UCB, all these things. We played every room in the city, and we headlined, and we did all this shit, and we did international shows. I'm not as successful in my own right because I took so many years off, but it feels almost like, what's the kid's name from the Sandlot that plays in the fucking major leagues? Benny.
Yeah.
Puts on the sneakers and he's like stealing bases. At the end, the guy's the announcer.
Yes.
It's like sometimes I feel that way, or like to be more derogatory towards myself. You ever see Anvil? Where the guy's Anvil's great. It's like a documentary about the guys who inspired like all these big metal bands. But he's at a festival and Anvil plays this festival, and he's like, we played together. He's like running around. Sometimes I feel like that guy where I'm out doing comedy and I'm like at a festival. I'm like, I know Mark Maron, or I know this guy, we did a show once in comedy studio, like I try and keep my mouth shut because I don't want to be like a fucking fanboy over people that I've like worked with. I'm just like, because it can get ugly really quickly, but I'm just like, yeah, I've done all this. You get a little, I also don't want to be jaded, but with you, it's different because I feel like we're family. And when I see you do these fucking amazing, like the Wilbur, that was one of those things where I was like, almost like Tony V did with Bill Burr, did Fenway.
Yeah.
And you want to be there for those moments. But the Wilbur, to see you do the Wilbur, or to see you sort of graduate to these other heights is fucking awesome, even from afar. And so it's like, it gets exciting. I don't even know what my original point was.
Well,
but I'm just happy to, I guess my point is, after sucking your dick, is just to fucking be there and have the hang and be around. And it's like last night is just to get to talk and share stories. Cause I feel like that was the element. It's like we always, that's an old joke, but it's like the comedy show gets in the way of the fun.
Yeah. I say it all the time.
The fun hang.
All the time. I'm like, fuck, I gotta go do a show. That sucks.
And for me, I think what's exciting is when you come out here is you get a charge of like, oh yeah, this is comedy. To me, it was always like comedy. That's a part of it. Our show you mentioned earlier was always like, it started before the show.
Right.
People would show up at we started getting there earlier and earlier because we would sit on the fucking bus bench outside in Cambridge to hang out and try and bark and get people in. But barking can be one of those things in New York where it's like, you got to fucking bark or you get 5 minutes and no one's going to be in there other than the people you get in there.
Barking, for those who don't know, is trying to get people off the street.
Yeah.
Like, hey, show tonight.
Yeah. And you'll be like, it's $20 and this person's, is anyone good on? I don't know.
Right,
you're not even on that show. You're on another show or something. But like us, we just did it because it was like a pre-show fun. We'd be in character, it'd be in a wig, or like a fucking suit of armor made out of tinfoil, something dumb, just to get people's attention.
Yeah.
And then you'd be on the street just getting people inside. But what it really became was like us hanging with our friends 3 hours before the show to get geared up to do the show. And then the show kind of became a hang and people were downstairs and between acts, we'd be there.
It was the best.
And then afterwards, you'd stay out till midnight or 1. And I think what's exciting about you coming out to LA is it feels more organic or comfortable to be like, oh, I have a friend in town that it feels like this is what this town could be like, where you hang out. And everybody's always like, nobody ever hangs, and you're like, I'll hang out. Yeah.
People want to hang. It's just a matter of let's go. But I feel like it's actually like hurt my career in some way, because I come to LA and I'm like, I got to hang out with Chris. Let's go to the movies. I'm going to take one night off so we can go to the movies. And then, I got to see John again and Hendrickson.
Yeah.
And Henry, of course.
Right.
And all these guys.
Somebody's like, you want to do this podcast? You're like, I'm going to see The Boogeyman.
Literally,
it's like the worst movie that came out of June. But
I was telling that story. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, I'm having a son. I got to make career moves. I'm going to LA on business, baby. And then fucking 2 hours later,
first night,
you and I are at Boogeyman with fucking a bunch of teenage girls eating a popcorn. Shit, we got to wrap it up. But, I can talk all day with you.
Yeah.
And I will.
All my problems were solved.
We'll hit stop and then we'll continue doing exactly this. But I need food. I need to ship some food.
To be continued,
where can people find you? And all the Walsh Brothers stuff is still out there. They can go watch it on YouTube.
There's a decent amount of it. It's mostly the Great and Secret Comedy Show, which was like a digital series on CC Comedy Central. So it's like they have a homepage on Comedy Central, I think still, but it's on YouTube. There was some other stuff that I had to take down due to
what, legal problems?
Yeah. It was like the Ari's, whatever. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Just quick story. We did a thing for back when, I forget who the fuck it was, but somebody asked us to do a show, and I did like a nude thing, and they were like, we can't put it up.
Yeah. You
I
were
stopped
naked a lot
doing.
back then.
Had to stop doing that when a guy behind me in Starbucks was like, "I've seen you naked." Like he was just whispered into my ear. I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
This isn't happening still up?
No.
I'll
tell you later. Yeah, I know. I talked to you before we took it down.
Yeah.
You could probably find it, but it'll probably get us canceled. So you're my enemy.
Too. Mine was.
No, I think it's all gone. I don't know where it is, but
yeah. But anyways,
slip of the tongue.
You can go find some stuff out there, and then the biggest video you guys ever had was the fucking
planking.
Yeah,
we basically brought it to the States. It was like ended up on KTLA 5 and all this shit. And,
it's an amazing.
And then
video.
NBA players were doing it, and it jumped the shark in like a week. And then everybody had like, hoot owling. Like after that, it was like everything was like it was planking, and then everything. Ice creaming or whatever, everyone had jizzing. I don't know. But so I have that, and then, I'm trying to think of what else. That's pretty much it. I'm on Instagram, Crispy Walsh. And I'm trying to get my career restarted. Oh, I'm in Joe's movie.
Yeah, in the movie 4th of July, which you were amazing in, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Which is also fun. I mean, I've told this story other places, but Louis and I wrote the movie, and I said, you gotta please just do me a huge favor. Just consider my friend Chris for this part, because he's who I was picturing. And then Louis said, just call him. Just get him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember I was at work, like working my day job, and you texted me, I want you to play the Uncle Dale character. And I started crying in my car at my day job. So I was like just weeping openly, just like, oh my God. Because I know how much Dale means to you.
Yeah,
and
of course.
And then I read the script, and it was like everybody in the movie was a cunt but my character to you. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. It's like, sometimes I feel like you've never had a brother, but I feel like there is that connection we have where I'm like a couple of years older than you. And we've always crying on benches drunk together in Boston over girls breaking our hearts.
That's the title, Crying on Benches.
Yeah.
But no, you were awesome.
And thank you for putting me into a movie. I mean, I feel like I hope you can see how much hard work I put into it because I didn't want to let Joe down.
No, I hope we can do more. But I thought we had the best scene in the movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them. I don't want to take away from
No. Everyone's amazing. I mean, everybody
amazing.
in that movie, I was watching it just like in awe of everybody's talent.
Yeah, it was fun. We got to do the fucking beacon.
Yeah, that's
Beacon
fucking
Theater.
crazy. I kept saying to people very quick before this is over, I was like, oh yeah, people go to the Beacon Theater. I go, yeah, the Allman Brothers had, they would play there. They would do 12 shows a year there. And people are like, the Allman Brothers? And I'm like, oh, Bruce Springsteen also played there. And then we got there and we were in the green room. The entire wall was the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, of course. That was
I was
their
like,
fucking home.
Yeah, man.
I love the
I'm a
Allmans.
Southern boy at heart. Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Thanks for doing it, buddy.
Man, I love you.
I love you, buddy. Like and subscribe. I forgot. I just did a podcast with Josh Potter. He reminded me I'm supposed to do that stuff.
Yeah.
This is why my career is in the fucking toilet.
You should be on stage sharing your handles, by the way, or introduce them. Do something.
I suck. But anyways, like, subscribe. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Give it a nice review. Leave a comment. Share it. Share it. Sharing is caring. My father's ass, my sister's tits. Thanks for listening. Sorry, I went into Tuesdays with Stories.
That's all right. They love it.
And new special is probably out by the time you're hearing this. YouTube, on this channel, if you're watching on YouTube, all my specials. Tell some friends. Come to a show, comedianjoelist.com. And thank you. And be kind to yourself.